Well, hi everyone. I'm Judy Elliott, and welcome to Breaktime. And I'm here with my dear friend Rick Zeisig. We have a great show planned for us today, right, Rick?
Absolutely, yes.
So you don't want to miss this show. We're going to be talking to Rick and talk about some things that I think our community would love to hear about. A lot of dear friends out there, Rick. We've been friends for a long time as well, haven't we?
Oh my gosh, 35 plus years.
Did you add that up?
And you know what? The good thing about getting older, you and I make it look good.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, guys, you stay with us. We'll be right back with you here today on Break Time. Hi, everyone. Again, welcome to Break Time. I'm here with my dear friend, Rick Zeisig. And Rick, hey, it's so great to have you here today.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Well, I know from a formal introduction, I'm gonna tell some formal introduction. I know that you have, well, actually, this is nothing new to you sitting here on the set. You've been in this kind of industry for many, many years.
44 plus.
44 plus?
I started radio my junior year in high school.
Whoa. Well, Rick is award-winning radio and TV personality and also 2022 Alzheimer's Association Hometown Hero.
107, yes.
I've got more here. In 2020, Chattanooga American Cancer Society Life Inspiration Award recipient.
Yes.
And moon pie eating champion. You're going to have to explain these to me.
Sure, absolutely.
Let's start up with the radio and TV personality.
Well, the Daily Citizen's first ever Best of North Georgia, I was voted the favorite radio personality. Before that, when I was working down the dial a little bit, won state awards with the Cable Television Association of Georgia. I used to have the Rick Zeisig Hometown TV show. We won 2 years in a row for that. And then I was also honored that first year with my charity and nonprofit work in the community.
Oh, wonderful.
So I was the first recipient ever of the Cable Television Association of Georgia's C-Tag Award, G-Tag Award.
Uh-huh.
So I was honored with that back in the mid-90s.
Wow, that's great. And also, tell me about the Alzheimer's Association hometown.
Well, they named 7 hometown heroes here, and I was one of them. And basically, my work on and off since like 1994, I would be the MC and provide the tunes for the Alzheimer's Walk. Also, after my mother passed, we didn't realize, but being the strong Italian woman she was, that she had been hiding early onset dementia. Oh. And for years, my sister and I just thought she was not being nice. I'm cleaning that up quite a bit, and you know where I'm going with that. And afterwards, you know, when she went in the hospital with her cancer, she mentally trained right, and then with some help with the Alzheimer's Association, they were able to help us diagnose that she had been suffering with early onset dementia.
Right.
And so after she passed, they had this program that people that got really onset back in their 30s and 40s, and some in their 50s and 60s, but when they first found out, they didn't know what to do about how to hire an attorney, get your own power of attorney, make sure the finances and all. And so I sponsored that in my mother's memory.
Oh.
And so that was about an 8-week program for about 5 or 6 different couples. And I got to meet them the final night. They invited me to have dinner with them. But, you know, I sponsored my sister and I, and Margaret, and my brother-in-law. We all chipped in for that. We sponsored that. So that was just some recognition for that.
Right. And what's this? Everybody, when I talk to someone, I was like, I'm going to be interviewing Rick, and he is the. Did you know he's a moon pie eating champion? Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
What is that?
Okay, that was.
How did that happen?
I was doing a morning radio show in Chattanooga, and I know we're probably going to talk about this a little bit later, but. My throat cancer has come back for a 3rd time, and this time it's inoperable, and there's a tumor under my tongue, and that's affecting speech. But this was in 2012 when I was doing a morning radio show in Chattanooga, and I was the Grand Marshal for the Red Bank Jubilee Parade and New Moon Pie Festival. And what they did is they had a moon pie eating contest, and there were 3 people to a team. And so it was the Red Bank City Commission. They had 3 members. They had 3 members of the Red Bank Police Department, and they had 2 big guys, and then a young officer about your size. And then the fire department had 3 big, guys. And then to the left of us was the Red Bank football team. So I'm thinking, oh, we'll probably come in third. We can probably beat the city commission. Maybe we can beat the fire department because, the young lady didn't look like she'd be able to get a whole lot of moon pies. We figured the football team would win. So there's 2 minutes that we're doing this, and they had strawberry and lemon. Well, I'm
Moon
a
pies?
Yeah, I'm a chocoholic. Well, at the Masters they sell a green mint one, and for 60 years you could only get them at the Masters. Now they will, for a limited supply, will let them out. But so we had 2 minutes, and I'm not a big strawberry. I'm not a big lemon fan, so I ate the strawberries. And we had a ringer in our team. He's the office manager and he wolfed down a whole bunch. We all did, and I brought the long neck RC colas because those are made with sugar, not corn syrup. Like the Budweiser long necks,
Yeah.
they actually have an RC. You have to special order them. You
Yeah.
can get them in a long neck. So I brought those, and we go 2 minutes, and we're wolfing them down. And then the MC goes, "There's a tie between the City Commission and Big FM." I'm like, "What? How did us?" So then we had to have a 1-minute runoff. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So then we're going, they're counting down 3, 2, 1, and I look down at the other table, and the City Commission folks had already opened their moon pies, which was strictly forbidden in the rules. And imagine that, politicians cheating.
Wow.
So I'm like, "Wait, stop. Until they stopped. And I said, "Look." And so they had to take all of theirs away and bring out new ones. And so we had a 1-minute runoff. So I ate 2 of the strawberries. I'm thinking, oh, let me try lemon just to see. Well, I shouldn't have. So I had to hurry up and wolf down the lemon one so I could get another strawberry in to get that taste out of my mouth. And we wound up winning by about 3 moon pies.
So how many total did you eat?
The 3 of us, oh my gosh, it was probably 40. It was,
God, I would be sick.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
And so we won, and I actually still have the trophy in my home studio at the house. And it's on my business card. Award-winning radio and television personality and moon pie champion.
Oh,
so
wow.
That is a true story.
That's an exciting and unusual type of story.
And we
have to
heard
say.
that the football coach made kids go down and run sprints at the football field because they didn't win until they got sick.
Oh my goodness.
They won the next year, but yeah.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting. Well, whoever said you were boring anyway, right?
I know, really. Yeah.
Well, Rick, we're going to take a break here in a moment, but, I want to talk about actually how you came to Dalton. How long have you been in Dalton? How did you start your career? Sure. Just the whole bit, because you have been so much in radio and television. I know when we met, it was actually in TV.
Yes, early 90s.
Yeah. So I want to talk about all that. But I'm going to have to take a break here. So we'll be right back with you here with Rick Zeisig on Breaktime. We'll be back in a moment. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome back again to Breaktime. I am delighted to have my friend Rick Zeisig here with me. We're going to be talking about an additional phase of your life. We talked about all the moon pie and TV personality, all that. But I'd like to talk about how really I've always known you as being in Dalton because we kind of met later in our careers. But how did you come to Dalton? Just tell me that story?
Sure. My grandfather owned a carpet retail store in Akron, Ohio. And when my grandmother went into labor, there was a huge blizzard, and they could not get her to the hospital. So they took her to my grandfather's workroom. So my dad was literally born in the carpet industry.
Really?
Yes. And so worked for my grandfather after he got out of high school and went to college. And then he went to work for a big distributor up in Cleveland, Ohio, which is about half an hour away. When he left there, he was a rep for 3 different mills, and he covered Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. And one of the mills he worked for asked him to come to Dalton to be their national sales manager, and that's what moved us here. I was in the 5th grade, or just starting the 5th grade. And then about 6 months later, they made him their vice president of sales, and so I've been here. It was actually 50 years last September. So
oh my goodness.
Moved here in September of 1972.
72.
So 5th grade all through high school.
Wow. I came in 69.
Wow.
So we were like close by
Yes,
there on the
yes, we
airway.
were.
So how did you begin your career with radio? I guess that was first before TV, right?
Right.
Okay, tell me
Yes.
about that.
Well, I knew what I wanted to do since the sixth grade.
Really?
Yes. My mother was from Chicago, and we'd always spend 2 weeks up there, and that's the third largest radio and television market, so they always had the top talent. And there was a radio station up there, WLS, that everybody listened to, and the DJs were phenomenal. And AM was bigger than FM at the time, and there's about 10 to 12 stations back then across the United States that were on a frequency that every other station across the country was on, had to sign off.
Yeah.
Well, AM is amplitude modulation, not getting too complicated, and it bounces off the ozone layer. Well, at night, your ozone comes up here, so I didn't know this being in the sixth grade, but you could hear this radio station in 38 states. Well, I had a little AM radio, I'm going up and down the dial, and I found it. I said, oh my gosh, this is the station we listen to. So if you go up here, it was like WFLI in the day,
Yeah.
like C93 was in the day. It was the bomb. Well, the DJ, his name was John Records Landecker, where Records is truly my middle name. That was his mom's maiden name. It really was his middle name.
Oh, really?
And so I listened to him every night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do when I grew up. I'm in the sixth grade. Well, fast forward to my sophomore, junior year in high school, Jeff Burr and I were very good friends. And his mom, yes, the same.
She
Jean
used to
Burr.
do a radio show. Jean Burr.
Yes, she did. Coffee Time. She did it
I
live
remember that.
from Dunaway Drugs.
Yes, yes.
And she did that show, every day. And I was over at the house, and she always called us by her last name, Shane, Pike, Zeisig. Well, she hollered at me. She said, there's a weekend opening at the radio station, and I think you'd be perfect for it. Walter Hooper's the program director. You call him, set up an appointment, you knock his socks off, and he'll probably hire you and train you, and there we go. And so that's how I got it. It was first day I was on the air, October 22nd, 1978.
My goodness! Wow, that's fantastic. Now, tell me about how you got into TV.
Oh, sure. Had been doing radio. After college, wound up doing an afternoon show in Panama City Beach.
Oh, that was fun.
I never got to go to the beach. I was always
You
working.
worked.
I
That's
got to go
what
to
they
the beach
say.
3 times. I was there for a year and 2 months, and my father, who at my junior in high school by then started his own carpet mill, he had to fire the president of his mill, asked me if I wanted to come back to Dalton, learn the carpet industry, and take it over from him in a couple of years. So I get back, and after about three and a half years,
that's not
I
what-
wasn't happy.
You're too much of a people person. You
I
can't
knew
do
it.
that.
My dad knew it. We wanted to enjoy each other's company in the following years. So I was getting back in broadcasting. So the one person I knew that knew everybody was Ron Arnold.
Yep.
So I called Ron and I said, I know you know people across the state because you're involved with the Radio Association of Georgia, the national, And so he pointed me in several different directions. And he called me back. He said, there's a guy in Augusta who owns several radio stations, and he was wanting to hire me to run them. And so he said, well, have you talked back with Jim? I said, well, he's buying a station in Albany. It's not going to close for another 2 months. He wants to talk to me then. He goes, well, I just got a promotion. Would you be interested in my old job? And I looked him right in the eye and said, is this a trick question?
And he was in TV.
Yes,
of
he was
course.
over at TV6 working for the cable company. It was Falcon back then. It's changed names and
Yeah.
ownership several times since then. And he said if I hadn't contacted him looking to get back into radio, he would have never thought of me because he figured I was in my dream job working with my father.
Timing is
It's
so everything.
And it, believe it or not, to some extent, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yep.
And so...
So you got your start really with Ron Arnold and television there, right?
And radio, too.
Oh, and radio too.
Because he was general manager of WTTI back then before they did the TV stuff. And back then, when he hired me in radio,
Yeah.
minimum wage was $2.65 an hour.
Wow.
And Ron started me off at $3.
Yeah, I loved working with Ron. I
Yes.
worked with him, as you know,
Yes,
the
I
cable
do.
company
Yes,
as well.
absolutely.
I met him through when I was doing another show, and then somehow we with Sarah Hicks. I don't know if you remember her.
Oh,
or not.
yes, I do.
She and I did a show called Southern Expressions,
remember.
and then I remember meeting Ron, and then he asked me to come over there, and I'm telling you, he was really a legend in this
Yes,
community.
as Lamar McClure always used to say, the P.T. Barnum of our time.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yes.
Well, I want to, when we come back, talk a little bit about your family and your battles with cancer and how you can possibly inspire others, because you're really doing such a good job of helping people and inspire people, and I just think that would be so awesome for our community to hear those stories
You're
too.
very kind.
All
Thank you.
right, so we'll be right back with you here on Break Time in just a moment. Well, we're glad you stayed with us here on this community show. And we're here to talk a little bit more to Rick Zeisig about your story with cancer. And I appreciate so much you sharing this story with us today. Let me say that first, because
Thank
I know, you've gone through a lot. Your family's gone through a lot. And just tell me the story, if you don't mind, to share that with
No,
us.
sure. First, this is my third battle now. First was in 2005, where the year didn't start out too good. In January of '05, lost my mother. 7 weeks later, Margaret's mother passed away. So my son Rowdy, who is now 23, at 5 years old, had 0 grandparents. So not a good year starting out. And then 4 months later, I scratched my neck and found a lump, and we went in for a routine biopsy. It came back stage 4 squamous cell carcinoma. So the doctors made a decision to go back in and cut it all out. I'm supposed to wake up at 3 o'clock in recovery. I wake up at 9:45 in surgical ICU. I'm like, this can't be good. And so we ended up having to do chemo and radiation. I did it at the same time. First, I saw Dr. McKay, who was a long-time and beloved oncologist here, who's since retired, but still living in the community and doing a lot of nonprofit work. Went to see him, and the type of radiation they wanted me to do was called IMRT, where they basically bolt your face down to a table, and then the machine moves. And it has lead rods in there and adjusts the beam. He goes, oh, I've used that hundreds of times. I'm like, great. He goes, but I've only aimed it at a prostate. Let me send you to Chattanooga for someone who specializes in head and neck cancer, since what you do for a living and your voice and vocal cords are very important. So we did that. I drove myself to Irvine for all but 3 days. 5 years later, it came back, or no, 12 years later, 12 years later,
Wow.
I found a lump on this side, and it was bad. And I went to see my surgeon, Dr. Sean Coleman, very respected and loved man in this community, and also a neighbor of mine. He moved to our neighborhood in between my 2 surgeries in 2005 and 2018. So he's a neighbor. He lives 4 doors down. He we need to play cards with him, because he does not have a poker face. I mean, when he examined me, he looked like he was going to throw up. I mean, he did. And so we had to do surgery again. We did a second surgery in Atlanta at Emory Midtown, which is the old Crawford Lawn. They wanted to do it robotically. So I had 2 surgeries in 2018. And, oh, by the way, Emory's really proud of that darn Da Vinci robot. For a half a tonsillectomy and a couple biopsies on the base of the tongue back in 2018, that was $144,000. Now, insurance negotiated down to 104, but still. So went through chemo and radiation again, and then 4 years later, last January, so I was having issues with my throat, and it was very scratchy, and it came back, and this time it's inoperable. So
So they've told you that.
yes, so they told me that our best bet is either to slow down the growth. There's a tumor at the base of my tongue, a second tumor under my tongue, and back early part of last year, it actually grew and was on the outside. So what they said was our best bet is to hopefully slow it down, and that'll buy me some time.
Yeah. Well, how are you feeling?
I feel great. We had a scare last summer. We used immunotherapy the first time, and after checking and doing some, PET scans, it was not working at all, and they were very scared because the tumor was getting very close to my carotid arteries, and they were scared that would either hit it and pierce it and let bleed out, or it would wrap around it, restrict blood flow, and cause a stroke. And last June, end of June, I asked the doc, I said, we can't slow this down. How much time do we have? And she looked at me and broke character and almost started crying. She said, you're going to make me cry. And then she said, months. And I said, Christmas. She said, no. Well, for years, I had always said that when I finally hung up the headphones and turned the microphone off for the last time, I wanted to retire in Key West. Well, my wife, Margaret, says, that sounds like a great idea. I'll come visit you some. So we went, actually, the next day, we went to Key West. It was the 4th of July weekend. And the outreach of friends and members of the community has just been, it's been amazing. I cannot explain. If you follow me on any of my socials, you see I'm having a lot of coffee with folks. It's difficult chewing and eating some, so it can take me an hour and a half to eat a dinner, and that's when I'm not talking. So if we're having lunch together, that's a 3 or 4 hour lunch, and after a while you get tired of chewing. And so I meet a lot of people for coffee. And as my wife told me while we were in Key West, she goes, you have been given a beautiful gift. You're getting to hear all these wonderful stories from your friends back in high school and college and people you worked with. And people you don't even know were sending me DMs saying that I'm an inspiration to their sister who has breast cancer just because I choose to live my life and I'm not going to just grow up in a fetal position and just, stay in a dark
Give
corner.
up. You're just going to keep on.
But she said, the beautiful gift is you're getting to hear all these stories firsthand from these people, as opposed to me hearing them for the first time at your visitation.
Yeah, right.
How many people get that?
True.
Now, I wish it was 10 or 12 years from now, and that I'd get to watch my children grow older. But, you have to play the hand that's been dealt. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting, back in 2018, I had a good friend tell me, wow, you never smoked, what you do for a living, and you get throat cancer not once but twice. What is God trying to tell you? And I thought and prayed about that very hard. And what I came up with in my mind was that obviously he has a game plan for me. And that I pray when it's presented to me, I see it for what it is, and I'm able to do it in accordance to his will. If this is it, I'll take it. Mm-hmm.
What an inspiration you have been in your journey with this, and what a inspiration you have been to our community. And, I just am so thankful that you came and told your story, because there are a lot of people who are in the same situation, maybe not with the throat cancer, maybe something else that they've been diagnosed. And your story and how you're seeing this as a gift, and I think Margaret said it very well, that you're able to have this gift.
Like some of the things, the outreach. I was supposed to have my 40-year class reunion back in 2020, but because of the coronavirus, we said, we'll just have a 41st in 2021, but then remember the Omicron variant hit. And I'm on the committee, and we just talked briefly about the summer of 2022, let's have a, hey, everybody turned 60 this year, little get-together / pop-up class reunion. Well, didn't hear anything about it. July 15th, I hear it's going to be on July 30th. I'm like, what? I'm on the committee, I didn't hear any of it. So we go to the party, have a great time. End of the night, Margaret pulls me aside, and she says, they did this for you. When they found out that bad news I had, they called Margaret and said, when should we do a class reunion? She said, sooner rather than later. They put it together in 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful, too. And I know, I want to touch really quick, too, you had an album that was dedicated to you.
Yes, Peter Putnam, The Shadowlands.
Yes.
That was last week that he did that as of taping here, and that was an honor. He reached out to me.
Yeah.
I've known him for several years. Of course, he was a bodybuilder and all of that, but I didn't know he was getting into music. And
that's wonderful. What's the name of the album?
The Shadowlands.
The Shadowlands.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us and sharing this story with you. We love you. The community loves you, and it's just been a pleasure talking with you today. And the only regret I have is we weren't able to work so much together over the years, because I think we could have really created some great. But it doesn't say we can't still now.
Right.
Yeah. But we've always been in the same arena, but just never been at the same time on the same scale,
Or
or,
the same, or the
on
same,
the same,
or the same set. Yeah.
so same set. This is for same set. Yeah, I love it. We'll have to
Yeah.
do this again.
Count me in.
All right, thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us here on Break Time with Rick Zeisig. We'll see you next time.